Lockdown being focused down. There is a Horrify. Sanctification does come out. Lockdown does have poison on him. The Aegis at the same time.
And he's got that full energy as well, the full hope to actually heal. Hyde does right now whenever he'd like to. Looks like he's just dropping off to Modern Life here. There's the kill onto Y, and now 5v3. Already so much damage on this core. Modern Life's got good energy. Tempest will take a very tough and very long, nearly 20-minute game here on Dragonshire. Their map pick, but boy, was it a tough win. You know, I really expected them to have a more dominant performance, especially on their best map historically here on Dragonite, the map, or Dragonshire, the map they were able to defeat L5 on. But it didn't look clean, especially that early to mid game. SPT looks like they could give Tempest a run for money in this best of 5.
Yeah, definitely. The best of 5 will have to pull out the best of both these teams. Right now in game number 1, Tempest looks a little better, faster, stronger, just by a slight margin. They got 3 dragons just snuck away under the nose of SPT, so you know they're kicking themselves in the foot a little bit there. Overall, solid defense back and forth. SPT had great use of cooldowns, but Tempest with their calculated heroic cooldowns, the usage of saving each other, and especially in that late game where Lockdown was getting focused and just making sure to keep him alive long enough to where Duck could go off, it earned Tempest a victory.
I mean, we saw the DOT damage going on to
Yes.
Lockdown there at the end. The Aegis comes down, he gets the big shield, and Hyde's like, I got hope if you need it, but I think you're fine. I think we got this. I really just feel like Sign's positioning, if they could tighten that up, it looks really good for Tempest in this best of 5. He had a few moments of brilliance, again, going back to that Sanctification where he was super hyper aggressive, and Duck was able to capitalize on that Sank, pop the strafe in, do some extra free damage, which I think they were looking for with the, the strafe choice over, of course, the CC that they have with Rain of Vengeance. But they really just need to, I guess, have him kind of calm down, slow down, because throughout this entire tournament, you talk to anybody, I've been talking to Korean analysts back at home and saying, Sign is making Tempest look a little bit weak at this event, and it's uncharacteristic of Sign. He was the tank player for MVP Black, an incredibly strong tank player, and has actually been to China many times to compete, so this is not an unusual case for him. He's traveled around the world. He's been to Sweden, he's been to BlizzCon, so just got to get his wits about him a little bit here, or maybe play a little bit less aggressive.
Yeah, it's a hard world too, because especially in that scenario, I think throughout the entire tournament, yes, he's been a bit too aggressive, but you're facing off against Morales and Gul'dan, and you just know in the back of your mind, you're like, I gotta pressure them, I gotta get there. You just gotta make sure that your team's just a little bit closer to you. Again, we saw Lockdown was the MVP of that match, and for the most part, I think I agree. He had a lot of great soaking, especially in the mid game when Fawcett would get aggressive on the bottom lane. Call it to his team. Okay, I've got the experience in the middle. I got it top. Wait a minute, we have a shrine. Can we sneak a dragon? He stuck a dragon twice for his team.
He also had a few good Void Prisons where there was a pick on, say, Sign, for example. Sign's, expiration of his trait did some extra damage, and it was still 4v5 for them, and his Void made it, say, a 4v2, for example. So had some really good Voids there. Great play overall. I'm really curious to see where SPT may take us map-wise here, or if they're going to go for that first pick instead. I feel like they can actually just play standard. I don't feel like they really need to kind of try to cheese this one out. We've seen a lot of teams attacking the Korean teams with specific strategies, specific drafts on maps that sometimes we've never even seen before. Not maps we haven't seen before, but drafts we've never seen before, right? And I just don't feel like that's absolutely necessary with Tempest underperforming so much in this tournament so far. And that first game alone says, you know what, I think SPT just playing straight up, as they basically did in this last set, could get them a win here and advance them, of course, further into this bracket.
You say that, but then what is standard for our Chinese teams, right? Like, they have their mix-up of Zagara. Zagara seems standard for them. We've seen it 3 times this weekend.
Sure.
And we've seen Morales first picks and whatnot. So maybe standard for them, I think I agree with you. Come in with your best A game and put it forward. One of the battlegrounds that we see pretty often was Cursed Hollow so far this weekend, and that seems to be a Chinese special. They love that battleground. Yeah,
I mean, the bigger it is, the more those big global rotations work out for them. Xin Zhao, actually one of the players who's great at doing that extra pressure. It's been Y mostly on the Falstad this weekend. We'll see what map gets chosen here.
BOE.
BOE. It's going to be a Tempest map pick here going into set 2. So we've seen Tempest with the usual Korean prioritization of, win the Immortal race. That's what's most important rather than team fighting. If you end up losing the draft in that regard, of course, you have to dive and invade. But this has been a decent map for pretty much every Korean team in terms of global events especially. And we'll see if Tempest can take this map choice. The first map for them a little bit shakier than it I feel should have been, but let's see if they take the second map choice back-to-back on this one, maybe make a cleaner game out of it. SBT, I feel like they can't feel too bad about that last loss.
No, they can't. They have some solid glimpses of great play. As you move into BOE, one thing you need to think about is that Korean BOE feels a bit different than other regions. It's more calculated, more, okay, it's time to burn down Immortals. There's lots of trades that happen, so need to be on point and make sure that you are moving consistently forward. There's no doubt in your gameplay. Now, SBT will be getting the first ban as they'll look to take the first pick. Prior in history, they always moved towards that Malfurion or Tassadar, and with Korea always banning out TAS, we could see our Malfurion pick here for SBT.
Definitely could be the case. In Korea, for the majority of HGC, we saw Korean teams, when given the choice, prioritizing Li Ming first super early on this map just because she has so much poke. And whether you're ahead or behind, she's going to get you value on the Immortals. She doesn't do quick damage, but she does consistent damage, which is super important when you're having a close game. So I'm curious if SPT is going to pick it up here. In this tournament, though, Korean teams haven't really been prioritizing her highly like they did in HGC, so they've changed their minds, perhaps, on how much they want to bring her onto this map. But I'm just saying, historically speaking, that's something that SPT may be looking at here. Although they haven't really been big on the Li Ming, they're more on the Falstad, more on the Gul'dan, which we saw them even at the Gold Club World Championship favoring Xin Zhao and Y. Really liking those two heroes. We've seen them play Vala too, so that's something they would consider even with the Tassadar ban. ETC! Didn't expect that highly of a prioritization of him here going into this as the first pick.
Tanks in general have been climbing in the Eastern Clash here. ETCs, your Tyraels, your Muradins. Usually one is banned out in the roster, so it seems like our meta is slightly evolving as we get into our Saturday, which means over to the left, that means Muradin probably going to be picked up here. If not, Muradin could be risked as a ban later on as we go into the ban phase. So maybe Muradin one of the first picks, and then maybe we could see that Li Ming that you were talking about. And just to add to that point a little bit, we saw lots of Li Ming, as you mentioned, in HGC Korea always getting picked up. But with the other teams, China, Taiwan, not really prioritizing Li Ming so far, we've been seeing a lot of delayed pickups from the Korean teams, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, you know, I wonder here, because you were talking about the Muradin pick, you know, and how SPT would ban it right away if it wasn't taken. I wonder if SPT looks to ban the Li Ming now after grabbing some of their damage, because they could go into like a Gul'dan here and then ban the Li Ming away. They could also go Vala and Zarya, which would not be a bad choice as well. Something that we would see in the Korean teams really love that pairing. We saw it last game. So that's something to keep in mind here going into this second rotation. With Malfurion picked, I know a lot of people probably might think, well, they might want to grab a support here so they don't get choked out of that. I just really don't feel like you have to worry about that all too much. SPT was super focused on Ariel back at the World Championship when Aloof Fool was playing it, but not really, as if Aloof Fool's not on this roster, not really something that they're worried about. They're not super choked into one type of support, so I think they can save that for flex later.
Curious if we'll be seeing any auto attackers from SPT, and there it is, Zarya and Vala, the setup. So now suddenly, as we go into the next ban phase, you have the choice of, do we want to face against Greymane or do we want to face off against Li Ming? I think I agree with you that we get rid of the Li Ming here. With Li Ming having the poke, it allows you to kind of dictate how you want to handle that Immortal phase, whereas Greymane is more telegraphed of, okay, I want to DPS the Immortal, which allows for you to play it more aggressive.
Yeah, I think you pretty much just covered all the bases there. I think the Li Ming ban is safer just simply because you've already removed Tyrael, and most of the Tempest runs of Greymane, and perhaps even all of them, have been with the Tyrael. So when Tyrael's removed, you don't have to worry about that as much. And for Tempest right now, I was gonna say it's probably gonna be the Ariel ban just simply because the Vala is on the table, and if you have Vala, Ariel, and that Zarya, then it's just so difficult to kill the Vala. She just has free roam. There's the Li Ming ban. So the question now becomes for Tempest, what are they going to bring to the table here? They're saving it for their last pick as the Ragnaros Zeratul comes down. Makes me wonder if we might see that Lunara, possibly. It's just so difficult to really run a single range damage Lunara. And you're going to really struggle to damage down this comp for SPT. Hammer is something we've seen a lot in the past, but it's tough to run that solo damage as well. Helps you win the Immortal race. It's really damaging, but perhaps not enough. Not enough burst. And that's what they're really lacking here. They have obviously some combos they can pull off with the Sulfura Smash.
Do we get Lucio here from SPT? I'm thinking Lucio. Granted, you still have your Rhaegar set up, which can be great in Zarya and ETC, but Lucio gives the ability to bounce back and forth, and we've seen him pretty often on BOE. I just don't know what the 5th pick is going to be from SPT. And just my brain is like, all right, it's China. It's got to be weird. There's Rhaegar. Okay, so what's our 5th pick?
They might just grab Gul'dan here. Oh, they're going to take the Greymane themselves. Well, there's no way this double auto attack can get countered anymore by like a Johanna pick because of the way the draft has gone for Tempest already. All right, it's that solo damage now. Li Ming's gone, Vala's taken away. You're looking at Raynor potential. Unlikely, especially with ETC on the other side. If they had the Rockstar passive on their side, it'd be much more likely. There's Lunara. I mean, who am I missing here, Trick? It's just not a whole lot left. Greymane's removed.
With it being Korea, I just assume it's going to be Hammer, but they move into Tychus.
Tychus was played just by MVP Black in that last round. To great effect, Reset actually made it work 2 games in a row. You know, when I was commentating with Gilly earlier, I was saying, you know, the Tychus we saw yesterday was probably the last we were going to see because he looked really weak there. His range has been nerfed. But Reset's kind of changed my mind a little bit. And I guess just based on the patch alone and based on the sentiment of everyone so far, I kind of removed Tychus from my mind, right? I was like, okay, he's kind of, it's almost like in my head he's globally banned from the tournament or something like that. They go with it. It's a standard pick we've seen in the past, usually paired with some sort of other mage, right? But we're moving into this 1 damage meta right now in terms of range here in this tournament. And I feel like, I guess in terms of Immortals, you're going to be on top anyways. The range isn't going to be that important. But if you're behind for any reason, his lack of range, I think, is going to become a problem.
I think on this battleground, it just doesn't work as much. First off, the range hurting a little bit, but 2, just look at the composition that is available for SPT. They burn Immortals down, which they now have the power card of, okay, you have to come fight us or we're going to win the Immortal race. And Tychus doesn't really allow for an aggressive play onto the opposing Immortal.
And they have Zarya as well. So they have Zarya, Rhaegar. There's no way to burst down a target. Rhaegar is going to have Ancestral. They're going to have the protection for both these auto attackers. There's no way to blind them, for example. I just feel like SPT wins this draft really hard. I think they have just every way to team fight, and they've got every way to win the Immortal race. And I feel like because of that, it's going to force an invade from Tempest. And how can you really invade to try to win a fight when you're trying to fight with Tychus? Maybe after 10 with Odin, it gets a little bit easier, but before then, I'm worried.
Yeah, the gameplay here potentially is just, okay, we know that we're not going to win the Immortal phase, obviously. They have all, they have the Greymane, they have the Zarya. We just trade, take whatever we can off the Immortal, and we have impeccable defense. We have Ragnarok set up, we have our Molten Core, we have Tychus that can poke away with the grenade, keep Vala away from such areas, and we'll be good to go with that regard. We'll get to late game, and we'll just pick up Odin, and we'll get into team fights and just kind of accelerate there. And we've already seen Tempest run with that strategy. They do know how to play late game, and their team fight mechanics seem to be much better than SPT's.
The Zeratul pick is also something that, you know, I feel like in other compositions would really work well to try to get those picks, to try to get the invade, to put that pressure on. But with the Zarya, you just have so much shielding. If played correctly, I think this is going to be a tough win for Tempest here. It's going to be Sign on the Muradin this time. And lockdown once more on Zeratul, Duck on the Tychus. Duck's Tychus is really strong. Tychus had a really strong win rate throughout HGC Korea. But this is not the same Tychus. It's not the same patch. With the range reduction, I just really worry about this comp. And if it were Tempest performing, I feel like as well as they performed in HGC Korea, maybe I'd say they can make it work anyways. But with how close that last game was, I think we might be going to a tie. I know it's really early to say, but just looking at drafts alone.
I will say if Tempest does walk away with the victory here, you gotta feel confident, because obviously just knowing the heroes and how everything runs down, it's gonna be one of those moments where it's like, all right, well, we just took a disadvantage in our compositions and we were able to pull it out in the mid to late game, which is where I see Tempest excelling here. Now, if you're SPT, you need to go into this matchup feeling that confidence and be willing to have that aggressive play moving towards your way. Just make sure that you lock down that Zeratul, which they have tools to deal with. If you're Zarya, bops at the grenades, you're good to go. So let's get ready here for game number 2 on Battlefield of Eternity. It's best of 5 series between Tempest and Super Perfect Team. Game number 2 here on Battlefield of Eternity. To the left, we will have Tempest. To the far right and red, we will have SPT. Question for you, Wolf. Zarya, do you go feel the heat, or is it grenade build?
I feel like with this comp where you have the race, you can just go grenade build and poke a lot. Tychus' range reduced. You just kind of outrange them. You have insane range with Vala versus the Tychus, I feel, especially when he's on cooldown. And then you just kind of outlast them in fights, and you hover around your Immortal, take defensive engagements. And if you get forced off while they're invading you, you just kind of use the grenades to secure the last part of that Immortal. What about you? Which way would you go with this?
The grenade pick is going to be the pick, but I think I would have actually gone for Feel the Heat, just because you want to be able to actually, A, trade for Tychus, and B, you can deal with Ragnaros incredibly well. He has this weird moment where he comes in for the Q, and then he dances back and forth, and the entire time you're just buzzing him down, enjoying your time and having a laugh.
That's also a good point, because Tychus is going to have to be up on the front lines a lot of the time too, more up in your face, so you can get some value out of that. So I see your point there.
Well, we do have Hungering Arrow build for Vala, really indicating that we're going to be having that race happening for SPT, so they understand where their strengths do lie. Gravy's in the top lane against Ragnaros. They'll have to play relatively safe there with the idea of Zeratul potentially threatening him, so you'll play him more safe than standard, and we have 4 people on the bottom as SPT will be looking to push in this lane slightly here and maybe try to get an advantage in terms of experience.
Good shield here on Misaka, actually just absorbs that Stormbolt. It's going to turn it back into some more damage on this wave. Height's positioning here, really aggressive, looking for a power slide. Oop, just whiffs that one. Lockdown's actually coming down here and will come in for some extra damage. They're going to get the pick on the Xin Zhao, and ZZH is going to have to try to wolf his way out, but he cannot get away. And that's going to be a double kill here on the side of Tempest. They do lose one, though. They get it a 2-for-1.
The tank's turning around here, and Misaka working in. And if you imagine there was Feel the Heat here, we would have 3 people potentially burned down, but I will get off that case there. Grenade builds coming out. Misaka and crew turn a 0-for-2 into a 2-and-1. Immortal spawning in the next 8 seconds, and we should be seeing our Vala and Greymane with the rotations. Why, though? Kind of getting baited here by Modern Life. Allows for the engagement, and Tempest getting another takedown.
Yeah, it's really been Lockdown is actually making this possible, coming in for the, kind of flank, if you will, and that last engage on the bottom. And oh man, this can't be happening. I know you want to go for the race here, but you can't actually invade with 1 down here. Misaka at full energy, but will get taken off easily. And if this game just snowballs in the early game, everything we talked about in the draft just simply won't matter. Trixler is SPT kind of needs to shape up here in terms of how they're moving around the map. I have to give Kite big props. I mean, I think his positioning has been great in both games. He's also looking for these picks, but when you're down, you kind of just have to concede the point for a minute, and you already have a good race comp. Uh-oh, ZZH getting rooted here, and this is 5 kills to 1 now.
This is the moment.
Where is Kite going this time? I was just giving him props. Okay, he's trying to get the pick on the Modern Life, and they will actually get it, but he's going to pay for it.
Lockdown at the back right, taking damage, but yes, Kite does get picked off, and this is kind of the moment where, okay, there we go, Y moves in, gets the gunning cocktail. I was going to say, SPT needs to turn this around and go, okay, we need to stop dying, but they want to keep up the aggression. This is a reminder of what we saw in game number 1. These 2 teams are at each other's throats. Grenade comes in, one more pick down.
This is sloppy. This is really sloppy. We saw the ping from Lockdown, the assist ping, I need assistance. Hyde was out of mana. He was looking for the heal. Hyde was out of mana. He couldn't do anything there. Hyde got 1 more heal off, and everyone was acting like he was full of mana, and that he was going to keep topping people off, which was not the case. They engaged into Misaka's shields there, and all the extra damage you're talking about when you have to get into close quarters like this on the red side of the map. Take a lead, run with it, but when it's time to go home, it's time to go home. And this was really reminiscent of, like you said, the early game of last game. So SPT obviously gets this first Immortal.
Yeah, they get the first Immortal. They're able to grab the turrets. Molten Core will help mitigate that. Wise in the bottom right, currently 2v1ing their opponents. He actually has the assistance of the minions. He's working on trying to take out Lockdown, but some solid play overall from Zeratul will help secure the kill. Kite is force retreating in the top right, and Tempest continues to look for kills. Kite kind of lazy being here.
Yeah, they know he's in there, 100%. Yeah. Like, look at that grenade. This is real risky. I have to give him credit, though, because I feel like this could have been a really good bait attempt, and he knew he had, a little bit more to work with. He can heal himself, and he had the Zarya shields to help protect him there. So, risky choice. Didn't end up going well for him or poorly. It ended up just kind of ending up neutral there, but I've been really respecting the risks that Kite has been taking throughout this series. Especially in terms of aggressive positioning like that. And against a lesser team that might have forgotten he was there at all.
Well, 7 about to hit for SPT, and the Hungering Arrow build starts to come online with that level 4, that quest talent being very important. Need to finish that as soon as possible, and we can start having that damage ramp up for Arvala.
Huge bait here. Huge bait here. And this is a question of, there's no one on the team communicating about this rotation, you know? No one is top. The rotation is super late. The only thing I could really say in terms of communication here is perhaps they thought, oh, they're bruisering right now, so still safe to take this exchange. But minimap awareness or comms, one of the two there, definitely off. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, Y is definitely having a team moment. Team, what's going on here? Greymane needs to be a bit careful in those lanes. It's the 3rd time that he's been picked off. Obviously, they are targeting him, and rightfully so. Greymane, one of those heroes that just does not have a sustain that can actually land in a lane. And you do have moments where you have to go hyper-aggressive because you want to have trades that you can trade up, but man, he needs to chill out.
Feels like it's been a year since I've seen this, but pretty sure, Trick, that's human range at level 7 for Greymane coming out as well.
Ooh.
Which is something I was actually talking with Gilly about yesterday. I wish we would see more. And against this comp, I really like it with the lack of range for Tychus. Hold that thought, though, as Sign here trying to actually poke a little bit and help peel for his teammates to close the distance. Lockdown comes in.
This is going to be massive here. Lockdown comes in, but the Immortal with the God tier assists there, locking down 3 members with that stun. And Lockdown's like, okay, I'll take a couple kills. Walks in with the cleave, and that is going to be 3 members murdered for SPT.
Well, that got messy real quick there, but Lockdown getting that extra damage in. Yeah, we're going to take a look at this again, actually. Watch this. Look at it. And what's up?
Boom. Hitting multiple members, Rhaegar on the back right. Masaka can't even do anything, and those are going to be some immediate pickups. And then actually all cascades from Zarya initially getting stunned, the team turning around to go in for a fight, and then the second stun coming in afterwards. It all comes down to a slight misproportion in terms of positioning. Big turnaround, though, as SPT, down a level and a half, chooses to go in for an aggressive play.
Oh, I really liked how Tempest turned around the Twilight Dream. They saved Duck there. He was so in risky positioning. This is going to be a 4-man kill. Kite knows how to get out of here. He's just going to walk away. This is what happens when you fight without heroics, and you think you can get the pick, and I understand the greed there. I understand the hunger, you know? I'm going to get this pick on the Tychus. He's got low range. We caught him out of position. But when you have a Twilight Dream like that, Hyde protects him, and the fight turns around in an instant. It's not like SPT can use heroics to help mitigate that because they just simply don't have them. And that was even with a late cleanse onto Duck. So good turn here by Tempest, and overextension by SPT, and it feels like overextensions have kind of been the name of the game in this series. It's definitely not been a clean one, Trick.
Yeah, it's like SPT looks at the game and says, what if talents and heroics don't exist? And we just fight all the time. And they just attempt to capitalize. Sometimes it works out, but most of the time it's not working out against Tempest. Good news is they're almost level 10, so they'll have heroics because of being in a spot to actually fight against their opponents, but Tempest is beating on the front door in the top lane.
Yeah, they don't have a crazy siege comp, but their comp is still decent, and with this really heavily shielded Immortal, they had a lot of ranged attacks. It's still at full health, if you will, but the shield is gone, but it's still pushing down towards this keep wall. This party bush is not going to work. Knows Tempest has already called the bluff on this, and it's just going to take the long way around for safety. The new 10 was reached, and Expulsion Zone super powerful in that choke point. Just move down here and say, okay, if you're going to do that, we're going to force something on this bottom fort. So they're going to get 2 forts here, and the keep wall is pressured meanwhile.
Power slide comes in, Sign taking some damage, but he's murdered in. Usually you don't have a good chance of actually taking him away, but Modern Life is getting poked out. White does join in on the party at the same time. This is the moment, though, where I feel like SPT does get in a spot where they can actually handle their opponent. Granted, they will be a talent behind, but at least they're not behind in heroics, and with their hyper-aggressive style, this is probably the best position they'll be in. They're actually trying to contest this night camp here in the bottom, with Kite leading the charge, Y being the bait.
Oh, this is so bad. Look at the Void Prism potential here. Lockdown's going to go in right for it. Don't actually pair it with the smash here. Unfortunately, actually, good Ancestral onto Kite, and Sign does go down, and Duck is going to be the next to fall. Modern Life missing that Sulfuras may have cost them the fight.
No, it did. There is no may about it. That was a communication error. That you talked about it in the last game, and we're seeing the effects once again in game number 2. There is some slight communication errors between both Tempest and SPT. The moment that Void Prism went down, the Sulfura Smash was already in the middle of the cast. And I think the Sulfura Smash was actually the correct play. but sadly, the Zeratul coming in, bringing out the Void Prison, actually saved all of SPT. They turn around the fight, they get the camp, and they get a nice momentum swing.
I mean, you can imagine why this happens, right? The panic moment I even had commentating this game is saying, everyone's stacking up. And both Zeratul and Ragnaros will get massive value off of that mispositioning. And so they both kind of just stack them on top of each other there. You've got to call things out like that, though. Otherwise, you're just simply not going to get value. You're going to waste 2 heroics and you lose a fight. And Talon's ahead, even. SPT behind structurally, still a little bit behind in EXP, and that Talon's here behind still remains. But if they could keep fighting now with their heroics, they could turn this game around absolutely. You know, when you look at a score like 15 kills to 8, you might think, oh man, this is a stomp. But actually, you know, those are a lot of early kills, not a ton of EXP gained from those. So SPT is still in this. They still have half a fort on the bot lane. And they have both keeps online, of course.
Yeah, this is nowhere near a stomp. This is a war between these two teams, just constant back and forth. And now SPT will start fighting their own Immortal, and again, they burn it so quickly with the attack speed aura from ETC, Bala working in the Hungering Arrow, and Greymane. They almost actually matched the fight against Tempest, even though Tempest started first on the Immortal.
Now keep in mind, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Tempest because of the camp that's pushing the top lane. The keep wall was already down, so if Tempest can delay this a lot, it's going to force a rotation from someone up for SPT to deal with this, and otherwise they'll just end up eventually getting a free keep. Tempest defensively, they're actually going to start doing a little bit to the red side Immortal here, and here comes SPT looking to engage.
Both teams just so spread out between his areas. Masaka on the left side, Kite in the top left, looking for potentially a mosh pit. He goes in for the power slide, will be hitting Ragnaros. Resilient Flame has popped. There is the Void Prison. Can ZZH survive? He does. There are the heals, and SPT's in a spot where they're defending. Murden is being focused down, Sign on the bottom left. ZZH, same time, goes in for the butt bite. He is low on health, but he does drop the Ancestral before falling.
That's absolutely right. Now it's actually a huge win here for them. 4v3. Y does go down now, and can Hyde stay alive? The answer is no. Mosh Pit here going to actually stun both, and this will actually finally, after a long drawn-out fight, be a win here for SPT. And I don't even want to say this, but Trick, we just saw another Sulfura Smash missed on the Void Prison.
Yeah,
Modern Life has got to... this can't keep happening, right? Or otherwise, you know, why are you picking Ragnaros if you can't hit this? It's just such an important heroic. It's part of the reason why he's so powerful. It's like half the reason why he's so powerful, almost feels like, right?
Yeah, you gotta land that huge important button. I would say, and this might be a bit too bold, but I feel like Tempest shares the burden of having one player not play well every different game. We saw Sign a few earlier, now Modern Life not doing so well, and it's kind of hurting them slightly here as SPT, with this hyper-aggressive playstyle and this willingness to fight, is finding isolation and not getting punished for it.
They still lost this bot fort, but those picks really helped mitigate the damage. They also were able to, with that relieved pressure, finally clear up that top siege camp. So you know, they saved their keep. Their keep's still really helpful. They lost the wall. But, I mean, if you look at EXP, finally, we are nearly even. They've nearly caught up. And this is super aggressive from Tempest. SPT is actually going to take the middle ground, it looks like. Or perhaps not. And the rotation up now for Tempest. Oh, man, again, a party bush attempt here. Oh, so risky there for Lockdown. He's going to get there real quick. Man, this looks like I'm just watching something from Gold Club right now. 17 kills to 13 at 13 minutes. An insanely close game. 30 kills in this game. 30 kills. That's, I mean, that's unheard of outside of China, generally speaking.
I mean, I like my heroes with some team fights. That's why I play Quick Match. Not gonna lie to you, man. Seeing 30 kills feels pretty good at the moment here as we are in our day 2 in the Eastern Clash, and SPT about to hit 16, and that'll put them on the even footing in the game, which I believe is the first time since the early game that they'll be on an even talent tier. Will that be enough to help them pay off and win a team fight?
Well, I mean, good question. It's hard to predict anything in this best of 5 so far with how close these fights have been and how close this game has been. Just to go back to the kill counter one more time, when you have 30 kills in a game like this at 14 minutes, it just goes to show both teams aren't playing optimally. There's a lot on the line here, right? Chinese pride here for Super Perfect Team versus the Koreans that are considered to be the favorites by most. And there's a lot on the line, so there's a lot of nerves going into this. So no one's going to play perfectly, and they certainly are not. As we see this fight break out here, oh man, that's a huge point. Can he hit it this time? Can he hit it this time?
No, Kite's got this. Kite has the complete lockdown. That Void Prison is going to be wasted. Tempest playing aggressive on the Immortal when they don't have a team for the DPS, which allows SPT to move in. Now, ETC is being focused down, but ZZH will hit the pixel-perfect Ancestral Healing. Kite looking for a potential engagement. Does he have the power slide? Locking down Zeratul, Artychus, and Malfurion would be the main optimal play. Not quite hitting it here.
All right, Modern Life really wants it. Look at the pings here, the retreat pings on the Modern Life. This is everyone in Tempest saying, like, look, I know you want it. We don't have a big follow-up for this right now. Just don't commit. Void Prison's down for 55 more seconds. And they're just going to start to poke here on the SPT Immortal. SPT setting up for a defensive engage here. Sign goes in, actually. You can see up here at the top.
Oh,
there's the smash. This time he gets the kill on the Kite.
Solid play by him, finally getting that takedown, which allowed Tempest to go full aggressive mode, pushing in on SPT. The expulsion zone to stop all of Tempest for going on the aggression. Solid play there by Misaka, and now SPT actually has a chance to move back in.
Okay, they're going to come over here now with 4v4. They're going to finish this halftime, though. Tempest has a huge lead here. They could just disengage if they want to. I feel like it's really risky to try to make something happen. Sign's got so much peel to allow them to escape. And, you know, it's actually going to be a really favorable spawn here defensively for SPT. And this actually is anyone's game to take 4v4 right now, but the faster respawn coming out for ETC.
Sorry, show coming out. Big Twilight Dream and Greymane falls wide. Going too far in. Lockdown securing another takedown. Misaka on the back left working in shields, but it will not be enough. ZZH is left by himself. Stormbolt does connect. Rhaegar attempting to get away. Will the dog get out? He will get out, but the Immortal, that is the big reward here for Tempest.
Absolutely. Hyde just again. I mean, he is trying his darndest to keep Lockdown alive, running out of mana there, this time having just enough heals to keep him alive versus the Zarya, which makes this an insanely good trade for Tempest. They're going to have this Immortal at near full shields, which means it's going to have a lot of range. SPT does have 2 range and human range to help defend, but this could be a game-winning condition for Tempest should they get any picks at all at this scaling. We're nearly 17 minutes into the game, and either way, it feels like this gets 20 and a keep for Tempest first, barring a huge mistake.
Yeah, this is where we need to see SPT and their trademark aggression because of Ragnarok's Molten Core. Kaya on the back left is being locked down. The root comes out. Stormbolt hitting as well. He still has Mosh Pit available, but he needs Power Slide to turn this fight around. Sign diving in. Ancestral does come out. Sign taking damage, will be able to retreat. But with Malfurion and that hardest focus being on the back line, he's going to be able to top everyone off. And now the Keep in danger.
Every time he tried to go for the power slide, a big split for Tempest here. We're going to see the dive now over the wall here. The Immortal is going to town on that Keep. Misaka doing tons of damage to Sign, though. He's already used his avatar. Down goes the Keep.
Molten Core, they're coming in. There is 4 Mimbos here for a big Molten Swing. Here goes a Fierce Smash. It will connect with a few members. Kaya on the back left is going to finally be dealt with, but SPT does survive thanks to shields. But will Zhan Zhao be able to live? No. Yes, he does. He's half health here. Can they save their core?
Kite died actually in the bot too. A big chase from Lockdown. This is still a very healthy Immortal. TY is out of the fight. I don't think this is going to be savable here. Down goes Zarya, and there's ZZH. It's going to be the win here for Tempest. They're going to take a 2-0 lead here. Void Prison going down. It doesn't matter. Just for show. 25 kills to 14. Look, I don't like to say things like this in a tournament like this, but this is one of the dirtier series we've had. And if either of these teams want to have that full run back through this loser bracket and become the champions, we're going to have to see cleaner play. Tempest definitely playing better there in the end. Really want to give credit as well. Tempest being very aware of Kite's power slide cooldown there and knowing that he was going to go for the Mosh. You saw almost every time Kite moved into position, it was like you had 2 of the same side of magnets repelling. Every time he moved in, Tempest was moving an arc away from just to make sure that he couldn't get that Mosh. That was really their way back into the game. Tempest identified that, had that really strong Immortal push. That team fight they won there where they finally got the nice combo there, the nice smash, won it for them. The Molten Core really being the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, spreading out SPT, just really getting taken away there by Tempest as they're finally cleaning up their play here. So we'll see how they will handle themselves in game number 3. We'll be right back. This is the HGC.
My people lost everything. Their light was extinguished, replaced by a hunger for magic and vengeance. We became the Blood Elves. Now, I will fight for my homeland. Selama Ashalanore. I am Prince Kael'thas, and the time for a reckoning has come!
It is said that I hunt alone, wandering these bitter lands, far from